Some decisions are major decisions. And also there are a lot of small decisions that we don't make, that they tax our minds, they drain our energy. They create a lot of anxiety and nervousness and mental torment because we don't take care of it. We decide not to decide, which is a decision. Deciding to decide, to act, is a major, major challenge for all of us at different points in different areas of our lives. And there are things that happen to us along the way, experiences that we have that prevent us from working through the mental block of acting, of doing those things that we know we ought to do. And so what I want you to think about is, what is there that you know you need to do, that you want to do this, but for some reason or another, you've been holding back. For some reason or another, you just have not been able to gather your nerves or be able to work through the procrastinating or putting it off or justifying or blaming. Some reason or another, you just haven't done it. And you know you ought to do this. You really want to do this, but you don't know why you haven't done it. Now, first of all, we know that this is not easy. Because in order to begin to reinvent your life, you've got to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort. That you really have got to put all of yourself into it. It's very challenging to act, to do those things. There are times when you're looking at it and you say, I know I need to do this, but I don't feel like it. I don't want to do it. I know I need to do it, yet leave me alone. No, I don't want to do it. So what do?
This is one of the biggest of all challenges. It's procrastinating on starting on a major goal. And the way that you overcome it, one of many ways, is you break the goal down into as many small steps as you possibly can. You make a list of every single step that you're going to have to take to achieve the goal. From the first one of clearing your desk, or reading a chapter in a book, or making a phone call, or working out a financial plan. So what you do is you break it down into small enough steps. Henry Ford said the biggest tasks in the world can be accomplished if broken down into enough small steps. And once you've broken it down into enough small steps, just do one step. So now, of all of these steps, there are 5-minute, 10-minute steps. Of all of these steps, what would be a good place to start? And then you do just one thing. And maybe the next day you do just one more thing. And what happens within the mind is there's a natural momentum that once you get into the rhythm, you start to move forward. And pretty soon you're doing the next step and the next step and the next step and so on. I had a good friend who had for years wanted to write a business book. And he was working from 7 or 8 in the morning till 9 or 10 o'clock at night. He never had the energy to write it. So he finally said, I'm going to write this book, so I'm going to write it one page at a time. So he rescheduled his life, so he came home earlier, went to bed by 9 o'clock, got up at 5 o'clock, and wrote one page. That's all. By the end of the year, he had a 350-page book. And he published the book, and it became a great success. But it was just writing one page a day that enabled him to write a bestseller. Well, if you make a list, for example, I tell people for every task you have, you should make a list of everything you need to do. I'll give you an example that helped me recently. A gentleman came to me and said he's tied up a piece of property. We could develop this. It's 13.3 acres into a combination shopping center and self-storage site. So he said, would I be interested? And I said, well, sure. I've done real estate development in the past. And the first thing I did after we had tied up the property and established a partnership, it was a good deal, I sat down and made a list of everything that would have to be done from the very beginning to the very end to have an open, fully leased shopping center and a fully built, leased out self-storage center. And it was 40 or 50 things. And it started off with getting different approvals from the Caltrans transportation, getting utilities, getting the land graded, getting approvals for architectural approvals. Especially it meant getting a agreement from a major tenant, a major supermarket, to take the major space, because the city said we'll approve the self-storage if you have a shopping center attached to it, but not alone. The key to the shopping center was the supermarket. The key to renting out all the other space was to have the supermarket, and so on. So then we sat down and we just began to follow the list. One of the ideas on the list was to bring in a major developer with vastly more experience and contacts in shopping center development and carve off the self-storage for ourselves, do a partnership, a joint venture, and so on. So by the time we finished the list, we had done that. We had a major tenant, we had all approvals, we had road, we had transportation, sewer, utilities, highways, freeways, everything else, and the entire project is up and running on schedule. But if you look at it standing back, it's overwhelming. What you do is you make a list of everything that needs to be done. You select the most important thing on the list, the thing that you have to do before you do something else, and you start on that one task, and you just work away at it like a force of erosion. You can do this with any day. Write down everything that you have to do in the course of the day on a list. Any goal, make a list of every step in the goal. Any plan you have, financial plan, retirement plan. Even if you want to write a book, what are all the things that you have to do in order to write and publish a book? And then you just start with one of those tasks.
You have to find an accountable partner. I mean, who wants to work out when it's cold or rainy? In fact, who wants to work out anyway? Find someone who'll keep you honest by making you accountable by having a buddy. And the buddy says, wait a minute, you and I said we said we were gonna meet at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I showed and you didn't. Come on. You said you were gonna be there. And when you announce to somebody else that you're gonna do something, you kind of make a commitment back and forth to a friend. So it's really important maybe not to try to do it alone, because by ourselves, I'm a great procrastinator. I was gonna go to the program, but I put it off. I actually find 2 or 3 people who are willing to get together once a week, and they keep you honest because you're accountable to one another. So one of the best ways to get started is to make the announcement publicly that you're going to do it, and then have somebody who, instead of trying to say, I knew you couldn't do it, who keeps you saying, come on, you said you're going to do it, I'm going to hold you to it, and we're going to do this together.